Om Tavakatamritam Tapto Jivanam Kavipiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatam Bhuvi Krinanti Ye Bhurita Janaha. To our lives that are scorched with troubles, your words are like nectar. Your words are being praised by the sages. They destroy sin. They are auspicious to hear. Those who spread thy divine glories, O Lord, are the greatest benefactors of this world. Today is the auspicious day of Kali Puja. It's called a Falaharni Kali Puja. Falaharni means that is aspect of the goddess who takes away all the fruits of your actions. It is on this day that Sri Ramakrishna worshipped Holy Mother as the Divine Mother of the universe. It's also called Shodashi Puja. The Divine Mother worshipped as a 16-year-old, Shodashi. It is popularly called Tripura Sundari. The goddess is Tripura Sundari. The goddess Tripura Sundari. The Sundari is beautiful. Tripura is of the three cities. She is the consort of Shiva. So it was on this day at 9 o'clock. Before that, all the arrangements for worship were being done in Sri Ramakrishna's room, not in the temple, by his nephew. And there was another priest, Dinu. So all preparations for the puja, arrangements for the puja have been done in Sri Ramakrishna's room. And at 9 o'clock, the puja begins. The Holy Mother was told in advance to be ready during that time. And Sri Ramakrishna starts the puja, beckoning the Holy Mother to take the seat of the deity. There was no other deity, but Holy Mother would be the deity. Sri Ramakrishna was facing east in his room. He performed the preliminary rituals of the main body of the worship by sanctifying the mantras, sanctifying the articles of worship, sanctifying everything around with the appropriate mantras, and then he begins the actual worship of the Shodashi. So here the Divine Mother itself is invoked, and he says, "Do thou manifest thyself in this body, purify her, so that you will manifest in this world to do good to it." And from 9 o'clock till about 12 o'clock was the duration of the puja. At the end of the puja, the Divine Mother who had manifested in Sharda Devi herself was, even before the puja could commence, she was in the state of divine inebriation called bhava. She was doing all her actions mechanically, and as the puja progressed, she gets into the deepest samadhi. Sri Ramakrishna also goes into samadhi. And the worshipper, Sri Ramakrishna, and the worship, both as it were, unite on that super sensuous plane. They were there for a very long time in that state. And at around midnight, when that state of both the union of the worshipper and the worship was slowly becoming attenuated, diminishing, Sri Ramakrishna, he offered all his sadhana, all his spiritual disciplines, including his rosary, at the feet of the Holy Mother, and prostrated himself before her with the prayers that you are that Divine Mother, come to do good to this world, continue to do good to this world. So here he invoked the Mother of the Universe in the body of Sri Sharda Devi, and it was that Shakti, that power of the Divine Mother that worked through her. And how did it work through her? Through the aspect of the motherhood of God. So she then was the Divine Mother in its fullest sense. She was, because she was awakened by Sri Ramakrishna. And it is significant because never has this kind of incident taken place where an avatar hands over his entire spiritual disciplines and powers and responsibilities and everything to his divine consort. And she holds everything now that Sri Ramakrishna did, was, is, will be. She is the repository of all Sri Ramakrishna's powers. She is a repository of all our powers, and she is the one whom we need to direct our prayers. She holds the key to liberation, and she has come as the Mother of the Universe for the benefit of all. So this is the day when Holy Mother was worshipped as the Shodashi Devi, the goddess Shodashi, on this Falaharni Kali Puja. The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, page 588. We are somewhere in the center of the page. A devotee, Mukherjee, asks Sri Ramakrishna, "Revered Sir, is it good to practice Japa?" Japa means repetition of God's name. Sri Ramakrishna, yes, one attains God through Japa. Yeah, that's a question and that's the answer. As simple as that. Couldn't be any more simple than that. And this is the speciality of the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Doesn't go into the philosophical twaddles, doesn't go into huge commentaries, tells the truth directly, in simple way, so that we can understand it. The question was, is it good to do Japa? So obviously, it's good to practice Japa. Japa, as we know, is an essential spiritual discipline found in all religions, in all types of spiritual practices. It is the dedicated repetition of God's name with either a rosary or the keeping count on the fingers. It develops one-pointedness, it develops devotion, it purifies the mind. Oh yeah, and of course, one attains God through Japa. There. So, people, is there a God? So, I sometimes say, why don't you practice Japa and then you can see for yourself if there's a God or there's no God. See for yourself. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, as they say. So, well, maybe not. No, you got to do something. So you do this. So Japa. Japa, Mother also says, Japat Siddhi. Perfection is attained through Japa. So, Sri Ramakrishna is very emphatic. Yes, it is good to practice Japa. Yes. Japa is the means. And the result is one can attain God through Japa. There, the result. So the means and the end, sadhana, this is the spiritual practices. That is, what do you repeat? You repeat God's name over and over and over and over and over again. You do it formally or informally. Formally, you do so much of japa per day, in the mornings or in the afternoons or in the evenings, or you keep a constant recollection or remembrance of the name of the God in your mind. The name of the God is encapsulated in a mantra. It is a mystic syllable that is given to a spiritual practitioner, and that unravels, the first thing that unravels before one can realize God in the stage of state of sadhana is that person starts integrating oneself. That's a tremendous sense of integration comes because of japa. The whole personality has been integrated, focused, and all the powers are concentrated. Then there is a kind of an unraveling of that personality. Once it is integrated, there is an unraveling. What unravels? The divine essence in the personality. So long the personality was the personality, yeah. The divine element is missing there. So after the integration takes place, then there is an unraveling of the one's own divinity. And this divinity has various levels, from the lowest to the highest. So gradually this divinity gets unraveled, gets unfurled, gets manifest, and it becomes larger and larger. It is through this unraveling of the divinity, with the help of the mantra, through the dedicated practice of japa, that one can realize God. It is awakening of your own divinity. So you realize God through the essence of that godliness that is already in you, which is called in ordinary parlance the individual soul. So at that level, God's name, mystically given to you through the Guru, becomes one with you, the individual soul. And then this individual soul becomes one with God. So the mantra, individual consciousness, and universal consciousness all fuse together. This is called realization of God. So there it happens. So you see, Sri Ramakrishna said it simply, but I explained it in a little more. That's a problem with most people like me. They need to explain things. But this explanation is for clarification. People have different conceptions of God. And they have been fighting. The people having different conception of God, have been quarreling which conception is greater or smaller. There is no conception of God greater or smaller. They are all conceptions of God according to one's personality, one's culture, one's character, and according to the mantra, everything. So God cannot be said, oh, it is only this and not this. That cannot be God. So, like there are various aspects of God, there are various conceptions of God, there are various mantras of God. That which is the most suitable to you is given to you, and then you've got to take that and make it your own. It's like something that you've read or something that you've eaten. That's much better. You eat something, that something which was external to you now has become a part of you. The mantra which starts in an externalized form becomes a part of you. It vibrates with you. It vibrates with your life forces. It vibrates with your body. It vibrates with your mind. It vibrates with your intellect. It vibrates with your consciousness. The whole thing. You become one with it. That is what is called the awakening of the mantra. Mantra Chaitanya. Mantra. So, when this mantra has become awakened, it awakens you. There is a simultaneous awakening of you as well as the mantra. The mantra has then become one part of you. That leads us to this. So this is, yes, one can attain God through Japa, any aspect of God. And that aspect of God will lead us towards God which is beyond all aspects. We should not keep on believing that this aspect only is the only aspect of God. That cannot be. So you will go to that which is the absolute reality. So Sri Ramakrishna continues, by repeating the name of God secretly and in solitude, one receives divine grace here. Generally, people will try to make a kind of a display of their spiritual practices. They may make a display of their emotions, spiritual emotions. They might make a display of their devotion. So Sri Ramakrishna is here very clear. There are times when in a community setting, you've got to be there and sit down with the community in doing your spiritual practices. But that is not the only time when you are going to do your spiritual practices. So Sri Ramakrishna says, by repeating the name of God, that is the mantra of God, secretly. It has to be secret. And whatever is secret becomes very powerful. The Sri Ramakrishna's words. So things that are very secret, that are very close to you, which you cannot reveal to anyone else. No one should know. Only you should know, and God will know that you are secretly, silently, and in solitude are repeating the name of God. The name of God is nothing but, like I said, it's a condensed prayer. So here, and how do you repeat silently and secretly and in solitude? Pray with a longing heart. Pray that the aspect of Godhead that one is invoking is the nearest of the near, the dearest of the dear. The repetition of the mantra has to be done with great love. Not any more kind of mechanical repetitions. Oh, there is a God. Yeah, okay, we'll repeat the name of God. No, it has to be done with longing, with great love, secretly, quietly, in solitude. Then what happens? Then one becomes a recipient of divine grace. Now this is important. Is God gracious? Does grace exist? Does grace help? Here it is. Clear, as crystal clear, black and white. One receives divine grace. So it is through this divine grace that one becomes even more and more and more dedicated to repetition of the God's name. The moment a person is seen repeating God's name, one has to infer that that person is a recipient of divine grace. As clear as that. When the divine grace comes, that person repeats the name. And when that person repeats the name, one must understand, this divine grace. There are billions of people in this world. See how many people repeat the name? Or if they are repeating the name, it's like a kind of a bargaining chip. I'm going to repeat your name like this, please give me that. That should never come at all in spiritual life. One has to be sincere. One wants nothing but to seek God. And how intense is that need to seek God? As Sri Ramakrishna himself says, the disciple asks for the vision of God to the Guru. And the Guru takes him to a pond where the Guru is bathed, and then he pushes his neck down underwater. And the disciple is struggling for breath. And he releases. And then when the disciple surfaces, what did you want most? A breath of air. When you want God like that, you will get it. So there's no question of your using Japa, the repetition of God's name, as a bargaining chip for getting things from God. Okay. God will be a supplier of everything. So that also he has assured. He himself says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyaham in the Bhagavad Gita. I will carry whatever is necessary and protect whatever has been offered to that devotee by me. So God will carry to you whatever is necessary, and after bringing that thing, He will protect that thing. Yoga and Shema. So God will supply all the necessities. Don't worry about that. You don't do any kind of bargaining. Oh God, I've got a headache. I'm going to do Japa, cure me of my headache. You don't have to do that. What you need to do is increase the intensity of your longing. And as the intensity increases, you will see things opening up. You must understand, you are the recipient of God's grace. You feel it in your bones after a few years of dedicated practice of Japa. You will feel it in your bones. This is God's grace. This is what is protecting me. This is what is giving me everything to make my path easy. And this is felt so intensely. Because if you don't feel that God's grace, how do you know it? So you know. It's actually, It's not an airy thing. It's not a mysterious thing. It is not something that is kind of given to somebody, not given to somebody. God's grace is constantly blowing, Sri Ramakrishna says. One needs to unfurl the sail. So you will feel that. And this is what will give your spiritual practice even more strength. Oh, I just did a little and I'm getting so much. Let's do a little more. And so God will give you the strength. Sit down or to stand up or to do anything. The spiritual practices take away all obstacles. So after one receives divine grace, Ramakrishna said, then comes his vision. Then comes his vision. There, you want to see God? Here. The means are given. Wonderful. So the vision comes. Sri Ramakrishna also describes the vision, how as the night is almost over, you will see the faint light of dawn on the horizon. And you know it's soon going to be dawn. And the light keeps on increasing more and more and more as the sun rises. So first, the divine grace that comes to you is a kind of like a pre-vision. That light that has come before you can see the actual sun. And that light keeps on getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And through that light, you can see other things right now. Things on the horizon, things around you. So before the vision of God, your knowledge, your divine knowledge increases so much, you can see things, understand things. People might pop a pill, LSD, and say, I had a vision of God. It doesn't happen. And they are as ignorant of other things like anyone else. That cannot be. It will never be in a million years. The pre-vision, that divine grace, is essential before one can have the vision of God. And through that light of the divine grace, one can understand the world. One can understand oneself. One can understand what is the meaning and purpose of this whole creation. One will become loving. One will become compassionate. One will become unselfish. These are the indications. Without these indications, one cannot receive the vision of God. If it was as easy as popping a pill, well, I had a vision of God. Well, what happened to your unselfishness and love and compassion and generosity? What happened to that? Oh, that is no. These are the precursors. These have to be there inside. You will be calm and peaceful and loving, and the whole of creation will feel a kind of attraction for you. You want to, as it were, love the whole world. And the whole world wants to love you. This is what happens before the vision of God. So here we go. So then comes the vision, his vision. Then you see the sun rise. And the sun rises and rises and rises. Gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter. It's not just you see the sun once, oh, I've seen the sun there. That very vision, the initial vision, will slowly manifest its grandeur. I seen a ghost walking, or maybe you saw an imaginary something walking. Oh, what? No, that cannot be the reality. Because I seen God coming and walking from here. He came in here and walked. That also is not a vision. That might be a kind of some hallucinations of the brain. God's vision will keep on manifesting its glories. The vision of God as personal is a tremendous event in the spiritual aspirant's life. The Lord has all these glories. The person who gets acquainted with this kind of vision gets a little of that, God's glories. So there are plenty of them, but we won't go into this. The idea is something like this. When you have a vision of God, everything changes. Everything. So even before the vision, everything is changing, and you'll know. You will know exactly, like Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, as you're walking towards the ocean, from a distance, first you will feel the cool breeze. And as you proceed, you will also, with the cool breeze, hear the sound of the waves. And as you go closer and closer to the ocean, you will feel the cool breeze increasing, the sound of the ocean increasing, and then you will see the ocean. And then, as you go closer and closer, you go now and touch the ocean. So these are the various stages of God vision. Then he gives an illustration, wonderful illustration. Suppose there is a big piece of timber lying under water and fastened to the land with a chain. By proceeding along the chain, link by link, you will at last touch the timber. There it is. So why do you tie a timber to a chain and submerge it in water? Well, that was the old way of curing, timber, wood. Yeah. So tides come and go. That timber might be washed away or taken away by the tide, ebb and flow. So to guarantee that it doesn't flow away, it's chained to the banks, fastened. And now, when you want to retrieve that timber, what do? Well, you take link after link of the chain, one after another, slowly. So that is the repetition of God's name. Link by 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 link. And then you get a hold on the timber. That is the perfect illustration of repetition of God's name and attaining his vision. Link by link by link. Well, suppose you're standing on the bank and you say, why do I have to do all this? Maybe there's no timber. all the effort that I might find a kind of a piece of rock out there, useless to me. So there has to be an initial, you can say, faith. Faith in what? No, I believe. No, it's not a belief, it's a faith. Faith in the scriptures and faith in the words of the Guru. So you start with this, it's called, in Sanskrit it's called Shraddha, Indian language Shraddha. Shraddhavan labate jnanam. A person who has faith attains knowledge. Tatpara, after that, sanyatendriya. Then automatically your senses are controlled. Jnanam labdva param shantim. And on attaining knowledge, one attains peace. Quickly. So here you are. As you keep on repeating, link by link, you're going towards that timber. Know that there is a timber. You've been told there is a timber at the end of this chain. You need to haul it up. Okay, you go about it. So and as you keep on, as I said before, that you're getting integrated. Your senses will not be disruptive. Your mind will not be dissolute or going or dispersing all over the place. It's not just possible. You keep on doing japa and then your senses are so unruly. That cannot be there. So it has to be. There is a great deal of control that comes. And as this control grows and grows and grows, your link by link by link by link grows faster and faster and faster and faster. That's the idea of integrating your personality and everything. So here we have. I'll just read to give you an idea of the very stages of spiritual disciplines. Higher than worship is japa. Worship in the sense, ritualistic worship. Higher than that is japa, where you have internalized that worship. Higher than japa is meditation. There. Japa will actually lead you to meditation. Higher than meditation is bhava. Higher than meditation is what is bhava? Bhava samadhi. Higher than bhava or mahabhava. Higher than that bhava samadhi is the mahabhava, the highest form of samadhi, equated with prema. Higher than bhava, mahabhava and prema. There it is. So it is what is called the highest point where you lose your separate individuality and you merge in the divine. There is no more you anymore. Chaitanya Deva had prema, the intense love for God. Because there are a lot of indications of what actually happens because in the life of Sri Ramakrishna, you see how the physical manifestations of this state of prema is divine love manifest. So we'll leave that for some other time. When one attains prema, one has the rope to tie God. Here it is. First, the devotee pursues God. And after the vision of God, after attaining perfection, God pursues the devotee. Why? Because the devotee has tied God with a rope. Rope? What? Devotion. Rope of love. So the devotee and God are one. To see such a devotee is to see God. People say, where is God? I have not seen God. Go and meet these holy people. They, as it were, they love God and they have bound themselves to God through that cord of love. Seeing them is as good as seeing God. We'll stop here for today. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.